Welcome to Tech Challenge Makers Conquer E-commerce. I'm Elise, your resident tech expert and author of the book Browser versus Buyer. I've worked with entrepreneurs for over 6 years, and I've helped hundreds of creatives overcome their technology fears. Gain clarity and direction in your business with Elise's e-commerce 6-month group coaching program. Join now at myscheduledbiz.com/elevator. The link is in the show notes. Today, we're going to be talking with Alana Rivera from Etta Billie. After years of pushing paper around in corporate America, Alana found her passion through a gift from her mom, a book on soap making. She founded Etta Billie, a sustainable small batch body care company inspired by a love of food and drink in 2009, with a mission to bring moments of self-care indulgence into the everyday lives of busy women. When not in her soap lab, she's often cooking with friends and family, honing her cocktail making skills, or chasing her son around the playground. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why bringing moments of self-care indulgence is so important to your business, how technology can help you create those moments, and walk away with one action step. Alana, I'm so glad to have you here to share your expertise with us. Can you tell us a little bit about your business and your experience with e-commerce?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. So you've already touched on what we do at Etta Billie. We create a variety of soaps, lotions, body care, other body care items. And kind of part of what you also touched on with my story is I think I got into soap making because it became a form of self-care for me outside of my corporate sort of life. And then I ended up loving it and was so passionate about it. I wanted to share it with other people. And that's sort of how it became a business and not just a hobby that gave me joy to do. And I'm absolutely obsessed with food and drink. And I had to obviously incorporate that into what I do. So almost everything has a food or drink or place story. And I think that's also really important from a self-care, body care standpoint, is to have something that you deeply connect with when you're incorporating something like that, whether it's a scent, whether it's a practice, anything like that. You need to be deeply connected to it, because I also think it's very easy to not take care of yourself. And so it needs to be something that you feel, yeah, I mean, same here. I was just talking to my husband about it this morning. Oopsies. So I think it's really easy to not take care of yourself. And so you need to make sure that whatever it is you're deeply connected to, otherwise it's easy to just like push it aside as one of the many 100 things that you have on your plate. And as far as e-commerce, when I started my business, I started doing in-person events, but part of it was Etsy. That was my first start at e-commerce, was on an Etsy platform. And then I think I started my own separate from Etsy website, I want to say in like 2010 or 2011, something around there. And since then, I mean, 2020 was like our big push. Actually, that's when I started my Shopify site, funnily enough. And it was just like a whole new world, a whole new e-commerce world, which I love. I have so much love for the e-commerce world. I think it's really incredible. It's not an uncharted territory, but it's like this wide space where everyone has their own place, and you can find a place for whatever it is that you have and want to share with the world. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think, on this podcast, we've had a lot of coaches and people that make certain software. So I really like having you join us, just because you're really coming from the perspective of the creatives and makers that listen to this podcast, where you can really understand what that's like, trying to put yourself into what you do. And so I think this is the perfect thing for us to talk about, because I think that you'll really be able to connect with where they're at. As far as the having 100 things to do and putting self-care at the bottom, I'm probably the most guilty of this ever. So maybe even I will walk away with some insight, and I can maybe do a little better in the future. So that's sort of my little secret hope.
Yep. I feel you. I'm going to hopefully walk away also with something that I'll connect with. It's because it's so easy to go through your list and knock off all those to-dos, and like self-care doesn't end up being one of the things on your list. It's like a thing I will do when I'm done with the list.
And then you're
But
never
you're
done.
never done. Yeah, never done with the list. The list will always be there forever.
It's funny because somehow the thing that we're the expert in is the thing that always gets put, like, you're all about making soaps you guys can relax and like have this moment of indulgence, and it's hard for you to find indulgence. I mean, I'm guilty of the same thing. It's
Yeah.
really funny how that's true. Like, I build websites. My website has needed to be revamped forever. It just is never going to get done. And that just seems to be everybody that I talk to, that is like almost 100% always the case. They
Yeah.
do it for everyone else, but they can't do it for themselves.
Absolutely. It's like the do what I say, don't do what I do kind of thing, like up to a point. Yeah, it is. It's really funny how easy we can slip into. I mean, especially like you're saying with service, I consider part of what we do almost like a service-based business, right? We're creating something for someone, and while it's providing a space for them within their day, for self-care, for taking care, like connecting with themselves and what they need, what nourishes them, what provides for them. But that, that is a job, and that is like what I do is a job. And so it is sometimes what I've created for others gets very separated from what I do for myself. It's just sort of like it's good to I know we'll get to this later, but it's good to, like, a good reminder we're saying this, and it just made me think of this, is like creating a list of the things that like fills your cup, and
Yeah.
like having that somewhere in your life that you can see all the time, because it's very easy to just forget, have other things that come up, more pressing things, like, I mean, all the things, pretty much. It's all the things all the time.
Yeah, I'm amazed how often I talk to women, and you ask them, what hobbies do you have, what things do you like to enjoy, and they're like, I don't know. You're like, at some point in your life, there was something that you did that you really liked. Maybe it was listening to music, maybe you played an instrument, maybe you painted. I mean, whatever the thing is, there has to be something. If you can't even identify what those things are that bring you joy, that bring you peace, how are you ever going to be able to indulge in them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so easy to get away from that space. Like, you know, things happen, whether you're focused on building your business, whether you're parenting and doing that, whatever it is. And all of those partner, whatever sort of relationship you have with your partner, your friends, your family, and all of those things obviously take up vital space in your life. They're very important, but it does start to edge out what really deeply like nourishes you. I mean, absolutely. I have set many a goal for myself to go back and like reconnect with those things. And it's just easy to let them slip away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. So why is making time for self-care, and even, dare I say it, indulgence, important to a small business owner, to their business? Like, why does this matter? Like, are we just do these things because we say so? Is there actually a goal, a reason why we should do them?
Absolutely. I think it's, the adage when you're on the airplane, like you need to put your mask on first before you put your child's mask on, or whoever might need your help. And I think that is so incredibly true as a small business owner, especially an e-commerce one, because your business is wherever you are. You are always surrounded by it, especially if you have a phone, which I think we all do at this point. Your little mini computer is with you at all times. You can do almost all the things for your business from your tiny little computer that you have with you all the time. And so it's so easy to get to a space of burnout. Like, I have been in that space. I have burned myself out multiple times. And when you're in that space, you have nothing left to give to your business or to pretty much anyone else in your life. And there is no way for you to continue in a sustainable way if you do not fill yourself up. Like, it's just not possible. Like, I have to have reminders of that all the time. I can start to feel when I'm getting close to the edge of the burnout bubble, and I have to like remind myself, like, that's a sign that it's time for me to start doing things, even if it's 5 minutes a day. Like, even if that's all I can carve out, that's still enough to help keep me in a space where I can do the things that I need to do with the energy and the passion and the love that I have for the thing, because you really need all of those things to keep going, especially in small business. Like this is not the, like, no one's no one's going to pay you just because, like, you're doing this thing because you love the thing or you think it's vital for other people. And so you need to maintain that energy and that passion as much as possible. And part of that is taking care of yourself. And I think, of course, there's little things like, if you need to zone out and watch a show or whatever, and that might be, but I think there's something about finding whatever it is that gives you a little bit more, like you were saying, whether it's playing music or listening to music, like just sitting and listening to music, or meditation or reading or drawing or photography. Like, it could be creative, or it could be as like, I have a sourdough starter that I'm supposed to keep alive. Like, just feeding that and paying attention to that actually fills me up. Or baking, that actually, like, focusing deeply into a recipe, a process, using my hands, that fills my cup up. And so I think it is really important to think about it in a way that, like, you feel recharged after the thing, because you really need it. Like, yeah,
Well, and
really
the
need
thing
it.
is, people can tell. When your business becomes flat because you're not passionate anymore, people can tell. And I had this happen to me very recently. I got on one of my Q&A calls that I do every single month for my small business owners in Elise's e-commerce elevator. And I went on this Q&A call and they asked me questions. So it doesn't require a lot of like pre-thought from me. They ask a question, I give them an answer, we discuss it. That's pretty much it, right? I was flat. I was just dead out. Like, I hadn't bothered to focus on myself at all for a while. And so we get on the call and I'm like, okay, guys, what questions do you have? And I think I'm being just normal Elise. And all of a sudden, 5-10 minutes into the call, everybody just stops talking. And one of my students says to me, Elise, are you okay? And I'm sitting here thinking everything's completely fine. They don't know that I'm drained. They don't know that, but they can tell, right? And so your marketing becomes flat. Any videos that you're doing become flat. It just transcends everything that you touch. That you're no longer on fire for it. You're no longer passionate about it. They can tell. So I think if you don't take care of yourself, everybody else suffers. Another example, I literally just had a migraine for 2 days. And it's because I haven't bothered to do the things that I know bring me peace and rest. So yeah, 100%. It isn't just for you. It isn't just because do the thing because it's nice and that's the trend now, self-indulgent care or whatever. Yeah. You actually have to, or your business, your life, your family will suffer.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There is just no way. There's no way to, like, be present in the way that you need to if you do not care for yourself in like a deep way. Exactly like you said, people can tell.
Well, and I think in e-commerce, the other thing that I see, and I see this a lot because in e-commerce, people will ask, I've gotten this reply from a customer. And you know how these are. I'm sure you've gotten them. Sometimes they're really terrible. Sometimes they're nice, whatever, right? But if you are in a bad space, guess what? When you get those complaints or you get those people that are saying things that are just completely ridiculous, the way that you handle it is way different than if you were in a positive space when you got that contact. And so I think it really affects your ability to have good customer service as well, even when you have complaints and bad things potentially come up in your business. As an e-commerce shop owner, those things will happen. You need to be able to handle them as positively as possible.
Totally. And it's easy to let those, like, build up and drain you even more when you're in a bad space. Like, it's like a domino effect, really. Like, it's just like one after the other, just chipping away. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so let's talk about what this podcast is sort of all about, and that's tech. So how can technology possibly have any role to play in indulgent self-care?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And you and I kind of talked about this a little bit. I have a love-hate with technology. Absolutely. Like, the part that I love is it has connected me. I never thought I could be a person who meditates. And because of Headspace, which is a wonderful app, and I do not get a referral for them. I just think they're absolutely wonderful, has allowed me to meditate consistently a long time ago, but still, that's something I need to put back onto my list. That is amazing to me because if you had asked me like 10 years ago, I would have been like, there's no flipping way that I can meditate. Like, that's not possible. But that really enabled that for me. And I think it can, like, that's how I personally find books that I want to read as I go through the library on my phone. Music, podcasts, like there is some really incredible spaces that you can find things. Not that you need tech to do that, but it does allow for that. And even if you're talking about like from an actual physical product space, like you have the ability now to go and find something. Like maybe you absolutely adore candles that are shaped like pyramids. I don't know, but like that's having a candle like that lit up with you in the bath. Like you need that thing. That's where you're going to find it. You're going to find it online, most likely. So I think there's that. I think what can be hard is tech can also be a space where we think that we are giving ourselves like a break, like maybe going on social for you, like watching food videos or whatever it is, or animal videos, right? Yeah, totally. But I think it's really easy to then get sucked into the other, like, you can be on social media for a while. I have no judgment about that. But I think what can happen is it can sometimes, one thing leads to another, and maybe you're in like a comparison space where you're like seeing someone else's business and you're judging yourself for not this, not that, should this, should that. And I think that's just something to be mindful of, is like, what are the parts of, I guess this is more specifically from a social media standpoint, like what are the parts that like maybe you just need to put little roadblocks around to keep yourself in like the space that's actually mentally healthy for you versus what can lead to like a more negative space. And so that's just sort of like I have noticed that for myself is I have to just be very mindful of like, when I go on, I have this much time and I get to look at this type of content, and that's the kind of content that makes me happy. And then I need to get the fuck off so that I can just like stay in a good space. And then maybe I'll go meditate. I don't know. Or maybe not. I don't know. But I think there are so many tools now that technology has put out that can really help. Like, I'll say, like, my husband is like trying to teach himself Spanish, and he's using, I think, Duolingo, right, to do that. And it's just incredible that you have this ability now to do those sorts of things at your fingertips, and they can really bring a lot of joy for you. I think it's just important to figure out what the thing is as much as you can first. Like we were saying, like, think about like what in the past has maybe brought you joy, and is there a piece of technology that can help you, whether it's just using your timer, like literally just saying like, I get 5 minutes of this and this is what I'm doing, or setting it as a calendar, like a blocking out the time on your calendar. Like there are really nice simple ways to utilize technology to enable you to carve the space you need to do the thing that like brings you joy, that fills you up, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think access is huge. I mean, you get access to so many more things. And then, yeah,
Yes.
like I have Alexa. Hopefully she doesn't go off right now. And I'll be like, Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes. Well, guess what? You're not allowed to go do anything else until that timer goes off. So yeah, 100% technology, as simple as something like that, all the way up to finding what you can use to actually engage in whatever it is. So like you said, meditation earlier.
Yeah.
I know, like, I like to play guitar. I played it when I was younger. I don't even know the last time I picked it up. You can tell by the length of my nails if you're watching live. But I use a tuner on my phone to tune my guitar. I mean, there's just so many aspects of tech that you can use to make it so that you have space to do the thing that you love. So yeah, don't give up on it. But at the same time, I spend my entire day in front of the computer. So constantly having that glare in my eyes, and I suffer from headaches. So putting the phone down, putting the tablet down is something that's really important, or I end up being ill. So you have to know your limitations and know where it helps and where it hurts, and then figure that out for yourself and implement whatever works best for you. So this is my favorite part of the podcast, mostly because most people can't seem to do it. So we'll see how you do. What is one piece of advice that you would give to every small business owner about daily self-care?
I would say that I touched on this a little bit earlier. I think that each one of us has either 1 minute to 5 minutes. It could be as small as 1 minute that you can give to something that lights you up. I mean, that is like nothing, right? Like 1 minute is absolutely nothing. And like you can build on it to the 5 minutes. I think if we, rather than thinking about carving out large chunks of time, it's actually healthier for us to think about it in these small, because that's easy. That's actually like you could do that. Everybody could do that pretty much, right? 5 minutes. And I think thinking about it in that way and making it a small thing that you can build on, right? It could become bigger, but 5 minutes is definitely something I think that each one of us has the ability to give, even if it's just like sitting in the sunshine and drinking your favorite beverage for 5 minutes. Like you can do, everyone can do that. It could be water, just like get, and so I think thinking about it rather than this big, scary chunk of time or commitment, you can think of it as this very small thing, and even that can make a huge difference. I mean, that is how I started meditating, was not even 5 minutes. I think I did like the 2 minute one when I first started, and built up to like the 10 and the 15 and the 20 minute, and like that's, I think, once you start to see the benefit of it, you are able to carve out more time for it. And maybe it doesn't become daily, but at least you'll know, like, this is worth me carving out 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or even 10 minutes for. Like, I can do that. That is totally something that everyone has the ability to do.
Well, you did it. Just one tip. So congratulations. To that end, I don't know how many of you have, one of these smartwatches, but mine like vibrates and yells at me every, I don't know, hour or 45 minutes or something. And it's like, move, do something. And like, you just want it to stop yelling at you. So you get up and you like walk to the kitchen. That's what you just said kind of reminds me of. Like, yes, I should be spending 20 minutes working out every day. And yes, I do, or more. And yes, I do have a workout routine, but there are days where that just doesn't happen. But that doesn't mean that I can't get up and walk to the kitchen every 45 minutes, right? And I think once you see the benefits, it becomes a priority. And I think that's the big change. The change comes between I should do this and no, I need to do this. And once it becomes that priority, then it becomes a little bit easier. Not to say that we can't fall out of those routines, but yeah, 100% I'm with you. Start with 1 minute. It doesn't have to be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. If you told me, Elise, you need to spend an hour every day at the gym, I would laugh in your face. There is no way. I do not have an hour to be at the gym, plus 30 minutes to get there and 30 minutes to come home. Plus I still have to pick my daughter up from school. Like the list, right? You just feel the list. And ultimately that just ends up making you more stressed out. So you have to start with your indulgence in a stress-free area. Carve out 1 minute. I think that's brilliant. I absolutely love that piece of advice.
Yeah.
So Alana, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. And if our listeners want to know more, where's the best place for them to connect with you?
Sure. That is a great question. The best place to connect with us is to join our newsletter list, which you can do that on ettaandbillie.com. You can either a nice little pop-up will come and greet you when you pop onto the site, or you can scroll all the way down to the bottom and put your information in. Of course, you can also find us on all the socials. And that's just Etta and Billie, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. And those are nice places if you're someone who's like an ASMR or you just like to see process. We do share a lot of behind the scenes process videos of how we create the things that we do on both TikTok and Instagram. So you can always check those out.
Yeah, and those are excellent things to do with your e-commerce stuff for sure. When you're a maker, that stuff really does well on social. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that we can collaborate again sometime soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much
Bye,
for
visitors.
having me. Bye.
Want more help with your e-commerce brand? Subscribe to Tech Challenge Makers Conquer E-commerce on your favorite podcast platform so that you don't miss any of the episodes that are released every week to help you grow your e-commerce shop. Also, please leave us a review so that we can help even more e-commerce shop owners. Thanks for listening. See you next week right here on Tech Challenge Makers Conquer E-commerce.